Hey guys, and welcome to the Command Tower. We make EDH Deck decks. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to like and subscribe. Today's deck is a Blim Comedic Genius deck. We might be saying, haven't you done this deck before? Well, we did, but a couple cards didn't work quite how we thought they did, so we made some changes, and this is a new deck. So Blim is a 4/3 with flying, and he says, when he deals combat damage to a player, that player gains control of a target permanent you control, then each player loses life and discards cards equal number of permanents they control but don't own. So you're going to give your opponents bad permanents you have. They're going to hurt them. And it's going to benefit you because they're going to discard cards. So, Blim is 85 cents and the total price of this deck is $31.78. This is according to TCG Player and does not include basic lands. So, let's get right into the deck. First off, we got Ramp. Star Compass enters battlefield tapped and taps for 1 mana that a basic land you control could produce. Mind Stone taps for colorless. You can pay 1 and tap and sacrifice a draw card. Sphere of the Suns, that has 3 charge counters, and whenever you tap it, you have to remove a charge counter, so you get 3 uses out of it. Mana Geode, when it enters battlefield, you scry 1 mana of any color. Commander Sphere, 1 mana of any color. Tap it, sacrifice a draw card. Unstable Obelisk, taps for colorless, and you pay 7 to tap and sacrifice to destroy target permanent. Rakdos Cluestone, taps for Rakdos. You pay it, Rakdos, and tap and sacrifice a draw card. Rakdos Locket is the same, but you have to pay 4. Pendant of Prosperity, enters battlefield under opponent's control. If you pay 2, you draw a card, then put a land card from your hand on the battlefield, and the owner does the same. And Firemind Vessel, enters battlefield tapped, it taps for 2 mana of different colors. Since we want to deal combat damage with Blim, we're going to have some stuff that can make him deal more damage. Assault Strobe, target creature gains double strike till end of turn. Team or battle rage is the same, but if that creature is power 4 or greater, it gains trample. Raking Claws is the same, but it has cycling. Key to the City, tap discarded card, make a creature unblockable. When it becomes untapped, you can pay 2 to draw a card. Fire Shrieker, equipped creature has double strike. Sir Conrad, whenever a creature is put into a graveyard, it leaves your graveyard. It deals 1 damage to your opponent. You pay 2 to mill the top card of everybody's library. This is helpful because people are going to discard cards, and if they discard creature cards, he'll deal damage to them. Malakir Rebirth, choose a creature and you lose 2 life, and if that creature would die, you return it to the battlefield under your control, tapped. And it also is a land that enters battlefield tapped and taps for black. We got Megrim. Whenever an opponent discards a card, he does 2 damage to that player. So they're going to discard a lot of cards, they'll take a lot of damage. And Raider's Wake, whenever an opponent discards a card, that player loses 2 life and has Raid. Being your end step, if you attack with a creature this turn, target opponent discards a card. Now you might be wondering, what is bad enough to give to an opponent? Well, these are those cards. Jinxed Ring, whenever any card is put into your graveyard from play, it deals 1 damage to you. Sacrifice a creature, target opponent gains control of it. Jinxed Idol, at being your upkeep, it deals 2 damage to you, and if you sacrifice a creature, same thing. Jinxed Choker, end your turn, target opponent gains control of it, and it puts a charge counter on it. At being your upkeep, it deals damage equal to the number of charge counters on it to you. If you pay 3, you can put a charge counter on it, or remove 1 from it. Rust Elemental, really good. Flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice an artifact other than it. If you can't, tap and you lose 4 life. If you give this to an opponent, they're just going to have to sacrifice their mana rocks, and that's going to benefit you a lot. Crow and Horse, Defender, enters battlefield, the opponent gains control of it. Being your upkeep, each opponent creates a 1/1. So you give it to your opponent, and you and a couple other people make 1/1s. Drooling Ogre, whenever a player plays an artifact spell, that player gains control of Drooling Ogre, which is a good way to get them control of it. Culvener's Plans, when it comes into play, remove the top 7 cards of your library from the game face down, and you can look at play cards removed from the game with it, skip your draw step, and you can't play more than 1 spell each turn. So you give this to an opponent, and they can only play 1 spell each turn, and they probably can't play cards with this because they might not be in the right colors. Pyromancer's Swath, if an instant or source you control will deal damage to a creature or player, it deals damage +2, which might help them a little bit, but not too much. Maybe each end step, discard your hand. That's going to hurt them a whole lot. Goblin Cadets, whenever it blocks or becomes black, target opponent gains control of it. It's an easy way to get opponent control of it. Demonic Lore, when it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. That'll help you, and then you give it to an opponent. At the beginning of your end step, you lose 2 life for each card in your hand. Ebon Drake, Flying, whenever a player plays a spell, you lose 1 life. And Reaver Drone, being your upkeep, you lose 1 life unless you control another colorless creature. Then we got one of the best cards again, Aggressive Mining. You can't play lands. Sacrifice a land, draw 2 cards, give this to an opponent. They can't play lands, that's going to hurt them a whole lot. They can sacrifice a land to draw cards, but if they can't play lands, it's not going to help a whole lot. And Harmless Offering, target opponent gains control of target permanent you own. Just helpful if you can't have Blim out. Now, those cards are pretty bad, but if you give these cards to their opponents, they'll probably just lose the game. Abyssal Persecutor, Flying Trample, you can't win the game, and opponents can't lose the game. It's just going to make it so they can't win. Captive Audience, enters the battlefield under control of an opponent of your choice. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose 1 that hasn't been chosen. Your life total becomes 4, discard your hand, and each opponent creates 5 2/2 black zombies. That's really good. It's going to benefit you and hurt them. Form of the Dragon, beginning of your upkeep, it deals 5 damage to target creature or player. And at the end of each turn, your life total becomes 5, and creatures without flying can attack you. This one helps them a decent amount, but the fact that your life total becomes 5 is going to be a lot worse for them. Nefarious Lich, if you be dealt damage, remove that many cards from your grave from the game. If you can't, you lose the game. If you gain life, draw that many cards instead. When it leaves play, you lose the game. It's just an easy way to make your opponents lose. Lich's Mastery, hexproof, you can't lose the game, but whenever you gain life, you draw that many cards. Whenever you lose life, for each 1 card lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard. When it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. So, people can just either find a way to remove it and you lose, or they lose. Or, they just keep losing life and they keep losing their stuff. Forbidden Crypt, if you would draw a card, return target card from your graveyard to your hand, and if you can't, you lose the game. Whenever a card will be put into your graveyard, instead remove it from the game. Mortal Coil, tap, remove 2 cards in your graveyard from the game, draw a card. If damage will be dealt to you, prevent that damage. Remove a card from your graveyard from your game for each 1 damage prevented. When there are no cards in your graveyard, you lose the game. Once again, when you give this to an opponent, they probably won't have that many cards in their graveyard, and they're probably going to lose very fast. And Demonic Pact, beginning of your upkeep, choose 1 that hasn't been chosen. Deals 4 damage to target creature or player, and you gain 1 life. Target opponent discards 2 cards, you draw 2 cards, or you lose the game. So you can play this, and you can keep this card for a little bit for the good parts. Then before you lose the game, you give it to an opponent, and they'll just lose. Then we just got some card draw. Ozra Oddsmaker, beginning of combat on your turn, you may discard a card. If you do, choose a creature. When that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you draw 2 cards. So you probably just choose Blim. 3 different cards. Beginning of your upkeep, exile top card to your library. During your turn, if your opponent lost life this turn, you can play cards exiled with it. If you pay 4, it deals 1 damage to target opponent and Planeswalker. So you're probably always going to be dealing damage with Blim, so you'll get cards out of that. Now Geth's Grimoire, probably one of the best cards in the deck. Whenever an opponent discards a card from his or her hand, you can draw a card. Once you get going, people are going to discard a lot of cards and draw a lot of cards. Master of the Feast, flying, at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent draws a card, so you give that one to an opponent, and you get to draw cards. Humble Defector, draw 2 cards until your opponent gains control of it. You can leave that during your turn. It's very useful, because you get card draw, and it helps Blim. Experimental Frenzy, you can look at the top card of your library in each turn, play the top card of your library, and you can't play cards from your hand. And if you pay for it, you can destroy it. So you can use this, and it can help you. Or you could give it to an opponent, and if they don't have any red mana open, it can hurt them a lot. Furious Rise, at the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, exile top card of your library, and you can play that until you exile another card with it. Blim's power 4, so you should be able to get cards off of that. Outpost Siege, enters battlefield, choose cons or dragons. Probably choose cons. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile top card of your library. Until on a turn you can play that card. Or dragons, whenever creature you control leaves the battlefield, deals 1 damage to any target. And Underworld Connections, enchant land. Enchant land has tap, pay 1 life, draw a card. And tap and in. Beginning of your upkeep, draw a card, and tap it, deals 1 damage to any target. Then we just got some removal. Terminate, destroy target creature, can't be regenerated. Unlicensed Disintegration, destroy target creature. If you control the artifact, deals 3 damage to that creature's controller. Murder, destroy target creature. Heartless Act, choose 1, destroy target creature with no counters on it, remove up to 3 counters from target creature. Chaos Warp, Shuffle target permanent into his owner's library, and they reveal the top card. If it's permanent, they put it onto the battlefield. Feed the Swarm. Destroy target creature orange shame an opponent controls. You will lose life equal to that permanent's converted mana cost. Buy Force. Destroy X target artifacts. Cinder Giant, which you'll give to your opponents, and during your upkeep, it deals 2 damage to each other creature that you control, so that'll kill their creatures. Starstorm deals X damage to each creature, cycling for 3. Pestilence. At end of turn, if there are no creatures in play, sacrifice it. If you pay a black, it deals 1 damage to each creature and each player. And in Garruk's Wake, destroy all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. And lastly, we just got some lands. Cinder Barons, enters battlefield tapped and taps for Rakdos colors. And Orberg Volcano and Rakdos Gilded Gate are the same. Now, Akum Refuge and Bloodfell Caves are the same, except when they enter, you gain 1 life. And Command Tower just taps for 1 mana of any color. Rogue's Passage taps for colorless, you can pay 4 and tap it, target creature can't be blocked. It's good to use on Blim. And just 15 swamps and 15 mountains. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.